like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, March 9th. If everyone would stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have all board members present this evening except for Ryan Osmus, and Pamela Preston is joining us by phone. First off, we need the adoption of the agenda, including the supplemental personnel report, and I would like to move item 10A1 under curriculum and instruction and new business to follow after the Stuco report, so move it up above recognition of visitors.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt the agenda with the supplemental report and the changes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion by Tammy and a second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0. And Jamie, did you have a chance to look over the bills?
I did, and everything looked fine.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
I'll
to approve the bills. Yep.
We have a motion by Jamie and a second by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0. Okay, now we get to have some fun. First off, we have our Dodge City High School State Wrestling Qualifiers. I'd like everybody in the room, but these guys are kind of special to me personally. We are proud to recognize the Dodge City High School Red Demon Wrestling Program. The team competed at the 6A state tournament in Wichita last month, bringing home a third-place trophy. State medalists include Ryan Parga, he took sixth, Ruben Reyes took sixth, Rudy Hernandez, fifth, Marcelena Otero took fourth, Damian Mendez, second, Garrett Edwards, state runner-up, and Luke Barker, who took the 152-pound state championship. We also have Autumn Perez, who finished sixth at the inaugural Acacia Girls State Tournament, making her the first female state placer in Dodge City High School history. And finally, our head coach, Tate Lowe, was selected as the Western Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. So congratulations to all of you.
Yes.
We would like for the wrestling squad to come up here to have your picture taken, to give us representation. Come on up here. Step up to the stage if you will. Don't hurt yourself.
Boy, that's a good-looking hoodie thing.
Like that. Don't come down. Don't take downs here.
Which
We
one's?
are very proud. We're proud of all of our kids, but for you to represent us and to accomplish all that you accomplished is quite a remarkable feat, and we're very proud of that. We made history with the first girl ever to represent Dodge City, and there's more of that to come later today. Smile while I'm talking, and actually get a picture taken too. And we just want you to know we're very proud of all of you and look forward to what the future brings in your careers and lives. So thank you for representing Dodge City High.
Daycare at the bottom of Sewell. And get pictures. Daycare. There. Or like a discount.
And we lose about half the people in the room.
Yep. It's gonna get cooler now.
Okay, next up, we have Dodge City Alternative School. The Kid Wins State competition. They competed in the regional, is it a tournament?
Yep.
Regional tournament, and placed second, which qualifies them to go to state next month. So this is an example, or this is what you won state with, or won the regional, took second.
Yep, let's have them come on up too.
Great idea.
Fantastic.
I'll quit talking about it.
So basically, just so you have kind of a brief idea, the Kid Win Challenge is a project that was designed by some people at the University of Kansas State. We came onto it because they were looking for a place to hold a regional competition, which we held in our mall this last year, or this last month. So basically what the kids do is they design wind turbines and then they get tested on the amount of energy that their wind turbine produces when it's placed in a wind tunnel, and they compete against area schools and districts to see who qualifies to go to the state level. There's also their research and data. They have to speak and they have to answer questions, and they get a challenge project that they have when they go to the Kid Win Challenge itself, that they have to compete on the spot, trying to develop and design a project to solve a problem or the challenge that they're given on the spot. So these 5 young people from the alternative campus, along with Mr. Kramiga, who kind of led the team, competed. They got second at the regional, and they will compete at the state tournament in Topeka on April 4th.
And if you get second or first at the state competition, you get to go to the national competition. This is no small event.
That's
it's a
awesome.
big deal. So
Very
Fantastic.
nice.
pretty cool over there.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's have the kids up front. You're the ones that did the work, and we can stand behind.
Sure.
Yep. You can put that up front too, so.
Now, this was the smallest one in the competition. We went small, and we actually turned in the 3rd fastest or the 3rd largest energy production with just those little bitty wings on there. So now they're thinking big.
We've been 3D printing gearboxes for about a week now. We're gonna figure this thing out.
And next month is the competition?
April 4th, it's in Topeka on a Saturday, so we're looking forward to that. And you know, it's a neat opportunity for us to do that, so.
So you don't have to submit this same piece to state, you do it
Yeah.
All of this will go, these won't.
Gotcha.
So, you know, right now, we're going from a 3-blade to a 4-blade system. So now, everything you see on that board over there is done, gone. It's obsolete because it's all new data. So it's all something new. So we only have 3 weeks to figure this out.
There goes spring break.
Gives you something to focus on, yeah.
I work well under pressure.
All right, smile for the camera and appreciate all your efforts. Work hard, be nice, and good things are happening, so keep it up, all right, guys? Yeah, I'm glad to. But I think you're supposed to take it back. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep,
It is
big
awesome.
stuff right there.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have Justin Heckey here this evening. He is our 2020 Kansas Master Teacher nominee. We're super excited and proud to announce that Mr. Justin Heckey, 7th grade physical education teacher at Comanche Middle School, was named to the 2020 class of Kansas Master Teachers. Mr. Heckey joins a group of 7 teachers across the state who will be honored on Master Teacher Day to be held Wednesday, April 1st at Emporia State University.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very proud of you and your accomplishments as well. So, great representation for this district.
Congratulations.
Very proud of you.
Yes.
Okay, now we are ready for Stuco reports. We have Alexa Martinez Alba from Dodge City High School, who did a very nice job in the musical.
Thank you. So, good evening. This is your DCHS report. Spring sports have started their seasons as of last week. The play Radium Girls will open on April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Tickets will be sold in the activities office. Girls basketball finished their season 17-5. This weekend, the forensics team competed at a national qualifying tournament in Olathe, Kansas, increasing their national bid total to 16. And then lastly, Student Council is starting the application process for officers for the 2020-2021 school year. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
You too. And we do not have a report from Comanche tonight. We do Maybelline Morales from Dodge City Middle School. Yep, there we go.
Good evening. My name is Maybelline Morales. And first, soccer and track have just started practicing, and cheer and drill are hosting tryout auditions. Some students qualified for the regional history bee by taking a different type of history bee. Our IT at the middle school has been working on mini games on Minecraft, which will be for one more round of intramurals. And last Friday, the 7th and 8th grade band competed in a music festival with other middle schools, and tomorrow night, all the bands will participate in Bandorama, including CMS and DCHS. And at the end of this quarter, students will be receiving awards for academic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maybelline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we are ready for recognition of visitors. Persons may present ideas or concerns regarding USD 443 schools. No action will be taken by the board at this meeting. Personalities and behavior of employees are not to be presented during this period, but are to be reported to the employee's immediate supervisor. The president shall determine the amount of time to be spent for citizen participation. So if you'd like to address the board, please do so now. Seeing nobody jump up, we will move right ahead. Next up, we have the consent agenda. That includes the approval of personnel, including the supplemental personnel report, approval of minutes from our February 24th Board of Education meeting, approval of renewal of the licensing agreement for Odysseyware Edgenuity software, Head Start Information Memorandum, ACF IMHS 2001, inclusion of children with disabilities for Bright Beginnings, approval of Bright Beginnings Policy Council minutes for January 21st, approval of amended grant application for preschool aged at-risk, state pre-K 4-year-old at-risk, Bright Beginnings, approval of Kansas preschool pilot grant application also for Bright Beginnings, and approval of the student air rifle program addition to the PE curriculum at Dodge City High School. Anybody have any questions on any of those?
I have a couple questions reference the air rifle program.
I think we have people here that can help us with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I see that it's 4th through 12th grade. In the younger grades, is it optional, or parents given the option for students to participate, or what's that plan look like?
It's very similar to our National Archery in Schools program. So I went through the training in Pratt last week. First of all, it's optional for all in the first place. So if a student was uncomfortable with that, they can opt out. These are simply safe activities, safe to the point where they don't even have access to pellets until you present the specific amount, in their tray, and you face that student and you watch them go through those steps. It's a single break action, shoots about 510 feet per second, which is, within the state statute. There's state law that actually allows, outside organizations to come in with air rifles. I think probably the nicest thing is, we've done the Archery in Schools program for 6-7 years, a couple state championships, but we've literally shot hundreds of thousands of arrows without any incident. And I can assure you this is much safer than many of the activities that go on in physical education classes nationwide.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be quite safe. I just want to make sure that parents had the option.
Really, we're bringing it in at the high school level only, right off the bat, as kind of a pilot. Hoping to get it going this spring. We include this in our strength conditioning class, but all our PE class at the high school, if the instructors are comfortable and go through the proper training, they all have the opportunity to do so. And it's mirrored in the way it's taught. They did a great job. They just mirrored the National Archery in Schools program, which is established and is big. And so this is just one more step in that fits that niche of what we do, with lifetime activities with our kids.
And is there competitions that they can go to?
Yeah, this is the first year it's been presented in the state of Kansas, but Missouri already, they started, and I had conversations with them a couple years ago trying to get Kansas into this. So Wildlife and Parks is now on board with this, and part of us getting this is a matching grant from Wildlife and Parks that pays for about half of the kits. And then our school district would pay for the other half. So there will be state competitions. There's nothing this year right now in the state, everybody's in a race to get something before Dodge. And I just found out that, liberal, of all people, ordered their kits already. So doesn't mean they're actually going to be more proficient than us.
I made him wait until after it was approved.
Yeah. Ms. Weiss is all about protocol.
Are we
That's good.
We're thankful for her.
Yeah.
Yes, she's very good.
Cool, that's all I have.
No, if you've ever been to an archery, you've ever watched them shoot in the archery thing, it's very regimented. And it's very regimented, and it's fun to watch.
Any other questions on this or any other? Okay.
Now I make a motion for approval for the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion by Tammy and a second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0. Thank you, Coach Foster. All right, we're already on the move. We've got curriculum and instruction. Dr. Springston.
Good evening, Dr. Dirksen, Board of Education. In your board packet, beginning on page 60, there are 2 pages that are presented to you for the Teaching Channel Plus license proposal. What is in front of you does align with our district strategic action plan and the academic goal area, the first goal under the academic district strategic plan. What we're presenting to you is last year we brought to the board a contract to use frontline online professional development videos and modules. Throughout this year, as we rolled that out, there were some pieces that we had to work through with them for serviceability to our district. We hit a couple little hiccups beginning or middle of the year in designing those modules for the Flex Day option that I know I've shared with the board. Through that piece, we contacted the teaching channel because they were supplementing some of those videos for Frontline. And in our conversation with them, we determined that that product is much better for what we're doing, being able to customize those online and on-demand professional development modules, but also for us to be able to clone. When we develop something, we're able to clone it and then just replicate it and change just some of the pieces and the content links to it. Where with the previous one with Frontline, we were having to create everything from scratch. So each module we put together, we had to start over. So it is a better product and it will serve our needs better. It will still support our intention to provide a multiple platform for adult learning opportunities. So what this does is gives us one more opportunity beyond just face-to-face. It allows us to have on-demand learning for our adult learners in the district. Now, at the time that we submitted the board agenda for approval and submitted the documents, there were some pieces that have come up late last week. What I am asking is that the board table this until the next board meeting, pending two pieces. One, that Mr. Curbs is able to review and make any necessary changes to the contract. And then the second one, I was in conversations really since late last week up till about 4 o'clock this afternoon with KSDE regarding the LINK grant. Now, what's presented to you is using LINK funds to purchase a multi-year purchase or subscription. The question at hand is whether or not KSDE needs clarification from the feds to determine whether or not we can extend the benefits beyond the LINK grant sunset date, which is coming up this next school year. So we're waiting on final clarification from them. We should have that soon. So I'm not at a point comfortable recommending approval pending those two outstanding activities.
Okay.
What I asked is because we did have it prepared as an agenda item, felt it was necessary that we talk to you about where this is at, and maybe it can be ran through the consent agenda the next time it shows up, once we get permission from KSDE. I also want to share appreciation for Scott's due diligence to look into this matter. I can't help but think the way that our structure is and the way we pay attention to detail, that we may be leading the 8 other organizations that are part of the LINK grant that don't know what is coming, because these are changes that we were unaware of, and it's not the way it was explained when this originally started. And it could have, if you dare say, catastrophic results for some districts if they're planning on making purchases throughout next year and find out that they have to end on September 30th. It could be quite devastating for their budgets. And so we will be able to determine where we're at and how we can use the funds that we have, and we'll move money around. But it's only because it was looked into this deeply, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
What's your gut feel that KSAE will do?
I believe the grant itself, it runs on 2 different fiscal cycles. So the Fed has a different fiscal year than school districts. So technically, in our world, a year is the academic calendar, if you want to think
Right.
July 1 to June 30th. That's not the case with the Feds. Their fiscal year on this grant ends September 30th.
Right.
So year 3, or $1 million allotment, year 3 runs basically July 1 to September 30. So what the state has requested of the Feds is that extension. I guess I would say that there's probably a good chance that they would get the extension to the end of the year, but I don't want to risk it as we're looking at end of the year spend down, front loading all of our activities. The good thing about this is that this, while it's pretty detailed and it is important to make those decisions ahead of time, we do have money that we're going to judiciously use, not only to support our literacy initiatives, but also late last week, Friday, and then today, I had confirmation from our representative with Pearson, who is our ELA product vendor, to itemize our over $1 million invoice as to what items in there can we use link funds to purchase. So those would be the tier 2 and 3 supports. So we're working on maximizing every dollar we can. So if we can shift a significant portion of what would come out of textbook funds into link and use it for those tier 2 and 3 supports, it strengthens our overall program. It allows us to carry that textbook fund into this coming fiscal year, which will include math. So we're going to maximize the dollars every way we can, and we're trying to prepare for, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but a termination at September 30th.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Thank you for that.
We need to make a motion.
We need a motion, yeah.
A motion that we table this contract teaching channel until further information.
All right, we have a motion by Tammy and a second by Pamela. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6-0. All right, Mr. Russell.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Dirksen. I have 2 items to bring before you tonight. The first is just a bid on copy paper. We want to get another semi-load of copy paper for the district. We received many bids. There were a few that were cheaper, but they weren't the specs that we requested, and the quality of the paper isn't what we were looking for. The cheapest one that met those qualifications was the Veritiv bid for $20,823.60. So we're requesting your approval to accept that bid.
I'd make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion by Jeff and a second by Jamie. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Okay. And next on the list, the school has a contract with Adidas, and they had a distributor, Nil Brothers, that was kind of the middleman in that. That company was bought out, and apparently whoever bought them out has a contract with Nike. So those guys are naturally competitors. They're not going to deliver Adidas products, so we needed to find a new distributor. This came about very fast. There wasn't any real warning. I mean, they literally canceled orders that we had already placed. So Jay went and reviewed 5 different proposals, and the one that seemed to best meet our need was the one with Sports Connection. So the contract will stay the same. It'll still, with Adidas that is, it'll still end at the same time, but we're going to have a new middleman in there. And, we are proposing that be Sports Connection. So we're asking your approval to.
The details of the contract stays the same as what we had with Neal Brothers.
That's correct.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion by Jeff and a second by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item, Mr. Steiner's going to help me through this one, but I dare say in front of you that I believe I am a product of extracurricular activities, and I don't think we have to look any farther than tonight with the awards that were presented. and the influence and the impact that these activities in all areas, academic as well as athletic, can have on students and give them purpose for their education and for their future. And as you know, the state is separating the wrestling program, which I think is an outstanding move. And wrestling is big in Dodge City, and we want to be a part of that. So our proposal to you tonight is for development and approval of the addition of girls wrestling 7 through 12. So, Mr. Steiner, you have anything you want to add to that? I think you provided consideration sheets that gave us a lot of information about exactly what we're doing.
The only thing that might be, I know I've gotten a couple questions on, is if you look at the different proposals there, this is 7-12. Justin Briggs put in their proposal for both middle schools. Theirs are opposite seasons, what it'll be. They have boys wrestling before Christmas in the wintertime, girls would be after Christmas. For the high school, it is a joint season, much like track is, it just has boys and girls there. So if you look at the proposal there, basically under the high school one, you notice that the head coach makes less than what the assistant coach is. That is simply just keeping the same head coach. And actually, I did some questioning of the rest of the Western Athletic Conference. All 5 kind of seemed that was the avenue they were going. It was going to be the same head coach for both programs until it continues to grow bigger, and at that time they'd readjust. So that is just one clarification there. It is a dual head coach at that point. That's why it's less.
So the middle school would also have the same head coach for?
Wouldn't have to be, no, because they're a separate season. I'm assuming.
More than likely it will be the same.
More than likely, yes, they'll be the same people. Any other questions?
How did will girls wrestling at the high school level have separate girls tournaments? Or are they gonna happen at the same time as our duels do?
Right now, it is a growing beast, let's put it that way. Last year, I think they had, I got some numbers from Mark Lentz, they had 376 girls participate in wrestling last year. This year, they had 972.
Wow.
Of those 972, 498 participated at a regional tournament. It's one of those things that I didn't come to you for you guys last year because I didn't really know. It was one of those things we didn't have the numbers. And I felt like I wanted to see numbers before we took that step. Right now, most of those are what we do with home duels is basically we wrestle just like we do a basketball game. We wrestle the girls at 6 and then the guys at 7 at that point in time there. But still trying to meet the needs of junior varsity too as well. And so it's kind of been a challenge and we're all trying to figure out what we're doing there a little bit. As far as tournaments on the weekends, when we hosted our home tournament here, we added a girls division into it, so the girls divisions into it as well. Some of the other tournaments right now, because it's still in limbo, they're associated more with JV tournaments at that point. But there are plenty of tournaments that are truly separate. Great Bend ran their girls tournament in the high school, whereas the JV tournament was the same weekend, but in the Panther Activity Center. So there were 2 separate things.
For example, how many times our girls wrestled this year compared to the boys? I know like some of the boys wrestled 30 times.
It was a challenge a little bit because without, like I said, travel's a little bit of an issue. Let's be honest about it. And it's one of those things where we had some other opportunities to go places, but the time they were have to leave was, I didn't feel comfortable making them leave and then wrestle all day there and come back. So on average, most of them wrestle between 10 to 15 matches. Right now, it's one of those things, it's just a purely numbers game of seeing enough numbers out there too. The other thing I did a little research today is right now there's 63 teams that participate in the West Regional. I expect that number to continue to grow. And that's the other thing is the Acacia is also kind of trying to figure out what they're doing with it as well.
So do you
as far as
think
expanding.
next year will the girls tournament, state tournament be a 2-day event, do you think?
You know too much. Yes, that is the talk right now. It'll move to a 2-day tournament. There was some controversy around. That's why I know Lisa knows what's going on there. Basically, what happens is with wrestling, they have a 5-match limit. If you get anything over an 8-man bracket, they had 12-man brackets. What they had in state? So they had some people that wrestled their 5 matches and actually still get to a placing round and had to forfeit the match in a placing round.
That's tragic.
It actually, honestly, cost Great Bend a team title because they lost to Washburn Rule by a point, and basically that was the difference of them forfeiting a 6th-place match. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I want our girls to be competitive.
Oh, absolutely.
If we have to fund more travel to make that happen, I mean, I would sure like to be.
And it's one of those things is right now it's also manpower as far as coaches. And that's one of those things is we kind of kind of delegated people a little bit on that part of it, but it's just one of those things, that's why the need to have that extra assistant in there on that part to help out with travel too as well.
Makes sense.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Make a motion for approval.
Okay.
A second.
Got a motion by Tammy and a second by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
6-0. All right, we are ready. We are not in need of an executive session, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I want to share with all board members that we are responsible for providing an intent to negotiate letter by the end of this month. We've met several times in executive session and nothing has changed. As soon as that letter is formally put together, I will share it with the board that we will be taking to the Teachers Association. So I did not feel it was necessary to be in executive session to tell you exactly that. So I think we're good to go, and we will have that document before March 31st is when that letter is due. So we'll share it with you, and if you have any things you want to talk about, just email me individually. Can't do it as a group.
Right. Okay. All right, we are ready now for Board of Education member district responsibilities. Park and Rec Advisory Board, Tracy or Jamie, do you?
I didn't make last one, but I know we've got a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be it. It's not.
Bright Beginnings and Head Start, Ryan is gone. AC, is there anything we need to be aware of?
No, just as long as you looked at the information memorandum, those are important to just know about.
Right.
And also there was some differences in our at-risk grant application, which we had to adjust. And we are now combining our at-risk and KPP students into one grant application. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Special education.
We will begin process of interviewing candidates for the executive director a position the end of the month, and we have several of them scheduled. I've got one more to schedule. When you're dealing with 14 school districts and people scattered, it's kind of NASA-level scheduling. So I give everybody like 12 dates, and Dr. Dirksen and I are the only ones that can go to all the dates. So, but we will make that happen, and I hope to choose a director by the middle of April.
Very good. Thanks for all your work on that.
And plus, we've got to begin our planning. We've already started planning for moving into the new building. I am just thrilled to be able to be part of that building, have 613 in that building. I think the synergies will be phenomenal.
Very good. Do we have anything on legislative?
I would just share that Lisa and I attended the legislative coffee this weekend, and Tammy was there right beside me. And not one bill was talked about that had to do with education. And there are a couple of important ones that need to be discussed, but the emphasis of the meeting was in other areas, and so kind of let that go at that point. Tomorrow, I do head to Topeka for Dodge City Night in Topeka, and I will hand out some cards that Carrie has helped put together to emphasize attention to the issues that do pertain to us. There's a big push right now for excess costs for special ed. Try to get the state to meet what they're by statute supposed to be responsible for, which is 92%. Currently, an estimation of this year's budget, they're only funding 75% of excess costs. What that means to us is that extra 17% has to come out of the general fund, which takes away from programs and items that we would like to purchase otherwise. And then the other is they're tying a couple of bills, one we want, one we don't want. They're trying to tie them together. The one we want has to do with the high density weighting. The one we don't want has to do with private schools getting the tax abatements and all of that. I can't remember the technical word for that, but they're trying to more and more give private schools ways into public funding, and that's not right. So we're trying to keep that separated, so.
Very good, thank you. Capital outlay, I don't think we have anything new on that at this point. Calendar committee, we've already taken care of that for the year. We've got Tracy scheduled to review the bills prior to our April board meeting. As far as announcements, March 10th, as Dr. Dirksen just stated, is Dodge City Night in Topeka at the Capitol Plaza beginning at 5:30. March 11th is the Alternative Ed graduation at the Alternative Education Building at 9 a.m. March 16th through 20th is spring break. We will not have a board meeting on the fourth Monday in March. March 23rd and 24th is the KASB Women's Leadership Summit in Manhattan. I will be attending that. April 6th, which is, please make note, the first Monday, not the second, is our Board of Education meeting here in the Austin Boardroom at 6 o'clock. There'll be no school April 10th and 13th for Good Friday and Easter break. April 23rd is our retirement banquet. It's going to be held this year at the Boot Hill Casino Conference Center beginning at 5 o'clock. And we do ask that the RSVPs be turned in no later than April 3rd. So it'd be nice for us to have a good showing of board members at that event. April 27th is our Board of Education luncheon meeting at the Alternative Ed building at noon. Do we have any items for further discussion or future board meetings?
I do, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like the board to tell me if they'd be interested in this, but for our next meeting, which is April 6th, and for all that are here, I would like to schedule at 5 p.m. a tour of the new administration office to see what that is looking like, and it's going to be at that point very close to being turned over to us, and I would like for you to see what's going on, and I think that would be very exciting. So we're tentatively, I haven't got approval yet from Hutton and need to make sure that it will work out with the contractors, but would like for you to tentatively plan on, we'll provide a bus and we'll meet here, and then we'll come back here together.
I like that idea.
Okay. I also wanted to give a shout out to Coach Foster and all of our spring sports, but I wanted to squeeze it in somewhere while he was here. But at first night of practice, we had 202 ladies and gentlemen out for track. And so that's a 10th of our high school that went out for track. I think that's fantastic. So I'm very, very proud of that. And yeah, that's a lot of buses to a track meet.
We got them, Jack.
It also goes back to what I commented on earlier about finding involvement and finding purpose, and it really tickles me to death. Then, don't know if you noticed or not, but there's issues with coughing and shaking hands going on across the nation. And I just wanted to give some assurance on the coronavirus that we are well in tune with what is going on, and we're trying to pay attention to it. There are moving parts on an hourly basis. It's no longer daily, it is hourly. Things are shifting quickly. And the one thing we're trying not to do is we're trying not to overreact, but the one thing we also are trying to do is to be current and to be pertinent. Mm-hmm. And as I shared at the Administrative Council meeting today, what just totally baffles me is it's not like yesterday we realized we need to start telling kids to cover their mouths when they sneeze or cough. We've been doing that since kindergarten teachers had kids in their classroom. We are upping our attention, and our custodians are in constant conversation with administrators and with teachers, and we are all looking at it. But now we are presented with new issues with spring break coming up. How far do we reach out on what the intended travel is? I mean, is a ski trip to Colorado too much? Do we have to be cautious when they come back? There are a lot of things that we need to take into consideration. To my knowledge, I know of no one that's going to Italy, which right now you can't get into Italy if you are going. So I guess that part doesn't matter because they've closed the borders as of today in Italy. So, but that's often a destination over spring break. But open it up to anyone that has any additional comment. But I want you to know we've been following the lead of the Kansas State Department of Education. We've been in contact with the Ford County Health Department. We've been in contact with experts in the field. shout out to my daughter who works at Wesley Emergency Room, and she told me from the very beginning to cover your mouth, wash your hands, and if you don't feel good, stay home. KSDE's first worksheet that came out was verbatim what she said, and I mean, it's just right now common sense, and then you have to react to what you have to deal with. And I don't know how more to be calming. Talk to Tracy, she gets emails. I've received an email every day from someone that is concerned. And I know fear can be a scary thing, and we have to calm it with facts, and we have to calm it with certainty that we have a plan. And at this point, we're doing everything that the guidance is being provided for us to do, and that's the best answer I can give.
We had a briefing today from the CDC in our hospice meeting, and they said if you have any kind of elevated temperature, slight, it doesn't matter. If it's elevated, stay home. They said that is the scariest thing. And they said that the coronavirus itself affects those that are compromised. Small children and the elderly. So in our work, that's who we see. And but they really stressed, if you are ill, if you have any elevation in temperature, stay home.
Yeah, I think part of the concerns that I shared with Dr. Dirksen, if we were to close the school for one reason, what's the cascading impacts on the community at the plants? Or if they were to close, what's the cascading impacts and how we plan for that? How does that affect our hourly employees versus salary employees? And just those proactive questions that we can answer ahead of time that don't necessarily take any actions, just so we have an answer if anything was to go to that point.
And those are areas that have yet to be explored as far as ever happening in previous occurrences. And so it's a whole new chapter that we're going to have to tackle. And
well, and one of my biggest concerns, I mean, I'm retired and I'm looking at my investments, and you know, you look at the stock market, the economic, we don't know what the economic implications are going to be. They could be as severe as the virus itself when businesses shut down because there's no goods coming out of China. You know, so this is a big deal.
there is, and there's no doubt. And I want you to know I'm taking it seriously, and that's why I made this a topic that I share with the board, and I'll keep you updated as I have, and we will deal with it accordingly. And it very well could be day to day.
I'm thrilled.
Dr. Dirksen, have they given us any direction as to, I think Tracy said it, you know, if we have to close school, will those days be counted? How will they be counted, and how would they be made out? Have they been given any direction to all of that?
The quick answer to your question, which is a very good question, is not yet. They have not given us that direction. If it comes from the state health department, I have a gut feeling that that will be counted by the state. I do. There's no way they could handle that on a statewide basis not to accept that any other way. So, but watch me be wrong as soon as it happens. And so it hasn't happened yet, and definitely something that has to be measured as we go along and see how it carries out. So.
Okay. Any other?
Anybody else have any comments or questions? It's a topic we're all concerned about. It's a very real situation, and I felt like it was important that even though it wasn't an agenda item, that it be brought to the board so that you know and can, because I'm sure you are at the grocery store or wherever, and people are asking you questions too. I ask you to let them know that you're certain that the school district is well aware of it and paying close attention. It was talked about with our vulnerability study today. That's a hard word for me to say with a thick tongue. So it's an issue that affects us all, and we're dealing with it as best we can.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Did you make the motion?
I would entertain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll make the motion.
All right, a motion by Tammy, second by Jamie, I guess. All in favor? Thanks, Pamela.
If you're in favor, stand up and leave.